Endless Talking is a spell of mine usually unlocked through level 5 friendship, but I'll be casting it for free through Drawn to Story, a new series where I talk about stuff over a time lapse video of one of my illustrations. I started the series because story share over time lapse drawing videos is my favorite niche genre of media. I play these while I draw and find that they've increased my drawing duration time for whatever reason, probably because they keep me in the zone and feeling like I'm part of a globalized community of artists. They're like the mukbangs of the art world. In this first episode, I'd like to introduce myself and some of the topics I'm excited about covering for this series. My name is Bree, and I'm a writer and artist from New York who primarily works with what I'll unhelpfully call ethnic speculative ecofiction, or sci-fi and fantasy that center themes of ecology and draw from my Filipino-American heritage. Here are 5 experiences that I'd like to talk about in Drawn to Story. First off, I'm a falconer, meaning I have a New York State license to keep, train, and hunt with birds of prey. I consider this one of the more exciting parts of my life, so I have a lot to talk about. Definitions of falconry, cultures of falconry, how and why I became a falconer, what caring for a bird of prey is like, and many others. This is usually the aspect of my identity that receives the greatest amount of raised eyebrows. Secondly, I'm a published author. I primarily write speculative fiction nowadays, though my first published works were realistic fiction and academic nonfiction. I'd love to share the process of writing my short story, Keki's Pitcher Plant, which was published in Clarkesworld 195. This is one of my proudest achievements, and I'd love it if my ego-soaked ramblings could give other writers insight into getting published in renowned paying markets. Third on the list, I'm an adjunct professor at a university. I teach 2 courses, composition and its meaner older sibling, writing and rhetoric. I adore teaching these 2 topics and am blessed to teach at my alma mater. But I have a pretty grand list of complaints when it comes to the education systems of the USA. Looming large on that list are tenureship and its agonizing extinction, the abysmal pay and job security of adjuncts, and scholarship as a business. I both love and am deeply critical of academia. Fourthly, I've been an editor of a cli-fi zine called Solarpunk Magazine since late 2021, and I have seen some things. I'd say I'm a fair mix of impulsivity and victim to the dredges of anxiety when it comes to every single project I've ever attempted. I have much to share about how I got the position and what I do for it. I can also provide some insight into the speculative fiction publishing market from the perspective of the one who clicks accept. It's actually not an accept button, it's more an acceptance email sent through the submission software to the writer or artist inbox, but yeah. At this point, you can probably tell how much I love to yap. This whole endeavor is treading a dangerous line for me, really. I can be a bit quiet when first encountered, but throw me the slightest, "what do you do for fun?" and the dam will burst. Anyways, last for today are my published illustrations. I've drawn the covers for 2 books published by Android Press. These are Real Sugar is Hard to Find by Serena Ulibarri and When We Hold Each Other Up by Phoebe Wagner. I want to describe the process of gaining those opportunities as well as the business and methods of working with the publisher and authors. My art is also featured in most issues of Solarpunk magazine as companion pieces for some of our published works, and you can see my art as the banner of the Solarpunk magazine website. I'm also completing art for a utopian-themed TRPG titled City of Hope. I have a lot to talk about regarding the crowdfunding and conception of that. The primary purpose of Drawn to Story would be to entertain, but some of what I say might have some educational value if you're a nerd. I mean, an academic, a writer seeking to get published, or an environmentalist. Keep in mind that I'm fairly early on in the fields I've described today. I'm not a master falconer, I'm not widely published, I'm still querying for an agent for my first novel manuscript. I've only been teaching and editing for 4 years, and I have a very small internet footprint as an artist. I'm growing and changing now as I will be for the rest of my life, and I think it'd be neat to share that change with you. Okay, I lied about last for today. The real last for today is this. I'm working on my first ever webcomic. I'm going in blind with 40 hours of research. I recently discovered all on my own how expensive having a website is. Pencil me in for that one, Britannica. So, I don't have one yet. but I intend to create a site and host my own comic there when I feel like I've amassed enough pages. I'm very early in the process with 18 pages, quote, finalized thus far, and I'm aiming for a spring 2025 release. But in the meanwhile, enjoy a steady stream of concept art on my social medias linked below. Remember when I said I was a major proponent of ethnic speculative eco-fiction and then haphazardly defined that neologism? Well, here's the synopsis of my webcomic. Lapu-Kali is a land that once flourished with biodiversity and the planet's greatest medical advancements, but now it languishes in the imperial grasp of the Io Empire. Its land god, once the core of ecological balance, now exists only in stories 100 years after its disappearance. Vestigial Tale is a webcomic that follows the soldier Nastursa's efforts to keep an ailing Noli safe from the empire that seeks to capture him. Together, they discover the truth about Noli's birth and the fate of the land god. My characters and the land of Lapu-Kali are inspired by the Philippines and its suffering under imperialism, but also its joy as a vibrant, diverse, welcoming nation. Vestigial Tale features queer characters, non-human sapients, and gender role reversal. And also gender role invention. There's sapient lizards who think of gender like humans think of height. In this video, I'm drawing a comic book-inspired promo poster for the webcomic. If any of that interests you in some way, leave a comment. Feel free to talk about your own interests. Greatest Listener is a spell of mine unlocked at level 0 friendship, so please go ahead and introduce yourself and any of the things that you find fun. That's all for now. Hope to catch you listening to the next episode of Drawn to Story.